everyone, I have a quick fix for you today, and that is what to do if you accidentally cut one of your pattern pieces too small. I was working on the new InDesigns tutorial and I accidentally cut one of my exterior gusset pieces to the size of the lining gusset piece. And I have no more of this vinyl left. So I was in a little bit of a panic thinking, how am I possibly going to solve this? So I had a look at my smaller pattern piece compared to the correct size, and I realized it's not actually that much smaller. So what I'm going to do to fix it is cut a piece of interfaced cotton woven that is the correct size, and then I'm going to just sew this smaller piece to the larger cut piece that is the correct size for the exterior of the bag so that I have the right spacing for my seam allowance. But because it's not too much smaller than this piece, you will still have the full exterior panel correct from the outside of the bag, because the extra that you'll see from the interfaced woven piece will be hidden within the seam allowance. The reason that I'm using interfaced cotton woven and not something like a different type of vinyl is that I don't want to add too much to the bulk. The cotton woven will really just be there as a guide so that I know that I'm taking my seam allowance correctly, and if I'm doing the rivet placement that I need to do for this particular pattern, or if there are other exterior elements that need to be added on, you still have the correct size finished piece. I have my piece of interfaced cotton woven here, and you can see that it is cut to the correct size that my gusset piece should have been. And what I'm going to do is just place the incorrectly cut gusset piece in the center of that cotton woven piece. And then I'm going to sew around the entire edge at 1/8 of an inch. If you're concerned about that shifting at all, you can use double-sided tape, glue, or some basting spray to keep that in place, and then sew around the entire edge. You can just use a basting stitch. It's just to keep it secured to that woven fabric. That is sewn in place onto that cotton woven piece of fabric, and now I have a pattern piece that is the correct size, and the edge of this smaller piece is within the seam allowance for this particular bag when I sew it together. So as long as when I sew, I stay inside this basting stitch, you won't see any of this smaller piece from the outside of the bag. So I'm going to sew that into this bag that I was making just as I normally would. With that gusset sewn in place there, you can see here that it has sewn inside of where that smaller piece sits, but I was still able to use the edge of the pattern piece here for my seam allowance, but you won't be able to see from the outside of the bag that there was any problem with that side panel piece. And no one should ever know the difference, except that I made a video of this, so now everybody will know. Hope that helps. Thanks, everyone.